Hi, everyone. We're so excited to be here with you. If you are listening in, you are here because you're joining Innovageous and WOOF for a session on student well-being made visible and actionable. This is really an opportunity to get to know WOOF and Innovageous as partners in this important work. Before we get started today, we want to give you a chance to think about how you're doing and to check in. So take a minute and decide, which dog are you today? For me, I'm feeling happy. I'm ready to tackle the rest of the day. What about you, Alicia? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling happy, maybe even very happy. I'm excited about the weather today.
Awesome. What about you, Leah?
I'm in the same boat, very happy. Greater than 40 degrees is great.
I love that. So hopefully you had a chance to check in and think about how you're doing as well. So today you're going to have three of us here to share some important information about Innovageous and WOOF. So I am Shira Wolf Cohen, co-founder of Innovageous. I spent the past 30 years as an education and workforce development leader focused on K-12 education, higher education, and making sure that every student is prepared for what's next.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alicia Wolf. I'm also a co-founder of Innovageous. I'm in my 18th year in education. I really focus on special education, on social emotional learning, and I'm also a board certified behavior analyst. Looking forward to sharing with you some of the things that we're doing.
Hi, everyone. My name is Leah Cruzy. I am the co-founder and president of WOOF in the United States. I've spent the last 20-something years in education, started my career in the classroom. I've worked all over the country in policy and practice and advocacy, and I've moved into the entrepreneurial world in the last 4 to 6 years or so. Grateful to be here. Okay, so WOOF. WOOF is a startup that actually started in Denmark. The folks you see in this picture are classroom teachers who found that they lacked actionable tools to develop well-being together with their students. And rather than try to wait to find a solution, they actually just made one. I discovered this a couple years ago and realized that these anonymous tools to enable teachers to check in together with their students and leaders to be able to surface group dynamics was really powerful and could make a big difference in the United States. So I convinced them to let me bring this here.
So let's tell you a little bit about Innovageous. Innovageous is an education consulting group. We provide continuity of learning and inclusive opportunities for all young people by building the capacity of the adults that work with them, educators, schools, families, to implement innovative and courageous, or as we call it, Innovageous, solutions in education. And we work with schools and districts on areas such as professional development, systems building, implementation support, communications and marketing, and ensuring that every student has opportunities that can ensure they are really meeting all of their learning needs. So here's our plan for our short session together. We just did some introductions. We did that check-in. We're going to first start by aligning on our why, so you can learn why we are here and what our partnership is about. We're going to give you a chance to get an overview of WOOF highlights and think about how implementation support can happen through Innovageous. Then lastly, we're going to launch with what's next, because what's next starts here and today. We're hoping by the end of our session, you'll get a chance to know WOOF and Innovageous. You'll understand how we work together to ensure well-being is visible and actionable. And we'll explore ways that we can collaborate to bring WOOF with strong implementation practices to your school or district. So let's share a little bit more on aligning our why. So Innovageous and WOOF have partnered up to make student well-being both visible and actionable. We recognize that in many schools, we're navigating increasing student well-being needs, and there's limited time and capacity. Educators really need the tools so that they can elevate student voice and they can align all of the evidence-based practices and translate that into action that supports students in real time. Our partnership between Innovageous and WOOF really helps schools to understand the student well-being in real time and respond with practical, teacher-friendly strategies and ensure that everybody aggregates student voice and that there is whole class routines and interventions available based on those check-ins. So we want you to think and reflect. In one word, what does well-being mean to you? So you can pause the video, you can think about it, but well-being can mean so many things. What do those things mean? Well, here's some examples. It could mean happiness or fitness or gratitude or peace. It could mean bringing in love, exercise, sleep. There is so much that has to do with our young people and ensuring that they are the best people that they can be, both in life and in school. Lee, I know there's a lot of research behind checking in with young people. Can you share a little bit of that research around well-being with us?
Sure, it's fascinating. So this graphic here gives you a sense of how the interrelationship is between a couple different dynamics going on here. So we'll start at the top. There's decades of research that shows that a student's immediate environment shapes their emotional regulation and in turn their capacity to focus and persist through challenging work. And then this middle layer here called psychological safety. Evidence shows that when students trust that they won't be dismissed or embarrassed, that they will engage more openly, ask better questions, and take academic risks. And this is all building on this foundation of belonging and cohesion. So data show that strong peer bonds fuel collaboration and positive group dynamics. So WOOF's anonymity is going to be really important here to shape the environment in a whole classroom.
Yeah, that research is really important to the foundation of why this is going to work, because a thriving school is one where students feel seen and heard, and educators are equipped to foster learning and growth for all students. And the strategic integration of that technology enhances these conditions. It makes sure that the streamlined operations are there, we're informing instruction with real-time data, and we're enabling more personalized and equitable learning experiences for all of our students. And that is important for our schools and for well-being of our entire ecosystem.
Definitely.
So let's go ahead and dig into WOOF. This is going to be really exciting to see what this is like to use.
Awesome. So the idea here, like I've said, the origin stories, it started from a classroom teacher saying, hold on, I need tools that I can use right now to develop the well-being with my students so I can actually teach. So the idea here is what you see here is what we call WOOFlix. So just like based on your viewing habits, you have movies or shows recommended for you. A classroom has activities recommended uniquely for them based on what they have been saying they're feeling good or not so good about. I'm going to actually walk you through what those check-ins look like in a moment, but I first want to give you a sense of all these different layers going on that do enable leadership across grade levels, across campuses, to be able to get a beat in real time so you can actually build and understand well-being and be responsive to it at every level of school leadership. So we know that every classroom is unique. My first year teaching, I had 4 sections of 4th graders every single day. Same demographics, same school, but of course a different set of humans. So I needed to adapt my lesson plan uniquely for them. These short routines that become regular and students know to expect it foster a dynamic that enables a classroom culture to develop that is responsive to their real actual feelings in the moment without revealing any personal information. That information bubbles up. So what you're going to see in the next few slides is what that actually looks like. The concept here is that students can bubble up to class, teachers and students together see this information, school leadership in real time also get to observe trends of mood and what is impacting moods, so that that can sit alongside all other core priorities of the school: behavior, attendance, academics. So what does this look like in practice? What I'm going to show you in a moment is starting from that check-in. You saw the which dog are you today? Then what do classes see together as a result after that? What kinds of activities are then recommended for that group? And then how do leaders stay in touch about this? So the actual account is held by the teacher. We don't take any student information. There's no student account. So a teacher will create their own account and they'll log in. And you see this is at the front of the classroom. For the vast majority of time, The whole class is looking at the same information together. There's very little time where students are actually behind any screen. In this case, this teacher has 5 different classrooms. They've named their class, and you can see underneath the classroom name, other adults who are connected to that class. So the unit of information is that class of students. That could be a counselor who pushes in. That could be a substitute. That could be specials teachers in lower grades and in upper grades. It's anyone who's working with that group of students. Often that's an advisory. Back to WOOFlix, we can see these unique activities recommended for our group of students. In the upper right-hand corner there, you see a unicorn head. That's a unicorn effect. What it means is a class has had a microbehavioral change or a pattern break. It's a sustained positive improvement, not one time, in a class's mood based on what they have uniquely been saying. And these activities are plug and play. They're used when it makes sense for that class. A brain break is a 3 to 5 minute activity. It's great for changing the energy in the room for older grades. And when you've got a block schedule and you know you kind of need to wrestle up some energy, those are great times for brain breaks. A challenges is a 10 to 15 minute problem solving activity. All of these are going to be low stakes, not competitive, and they're not content focused. It's meant to be an opportunity for us to solve problems together based on what we have been saying in our check-ins. Now let's see what we mean by that check-in. If you've ever done a Kahoot, this will feel similar. So this might be a time you go to letswoof.io and that URL is probably bookmarked on your Clever dashboard. If their cameras are enabled, then they can scan the QR code. You put in a unique 4-digit code each time. Often that's done during a do now session when folks are entering the room. It doesn't have to be simultaneous. It could be as kids are filtering in for the day. There'll be 6 questions. The first 3 questions will be the same every time. You'll recognize this one. We saw this earlier. Which dog are you today? The next question, and the third question as well, will be about what's impacting that mood, positively and then negatively. These map to 3 domains: your energy, interpersonal dynamics, and how you're feeling about school. Older kids see these 9, younger kids will see 6, again, mapping to those 3 domains. Then the last 3 questions we call selections. Younger students see what you see at the top. Older students see what you see in the bottom. They look trivial, but they're really not. They're actually very meaningful. Back when I mentioned I had those 4 sections of 4th graders, this would have been so useful then. Are you high energy or are you low energy? Are you drawn to light? Are you drawn to darkness? That helps inform what that unique kind of energy of that room is. And if we've got any teachers or former teachers on here, you all know what I'm talking about. Kids also really love seeing this. What we'll find out afterwards is, did more of us say we like light or darkness? Did more of us say we like to dance or run? Then we're done. It was 6 questions. It takes about 30 seconds. And unlike other kinds of surveys that are often only done once a year, and those results only go to administrations, maybe not even classroom level, and certainly kids don't get to see it. What you'll see next is instantly our class gets to see these results. So in this, I am seen, but I am not exposed. For younger kids, it is powerful to start recognizing that you're part of a community. For older kids, the fear of judgment starts around adolescence, and honestly, it never really goes away. So I can tell this was a group of kids because homework in school is probably upper grades, shows up as a top negative. That's really common. By surfacing group dynamics without exposing anyone, it creates an opportunity for a classroom to say, what might be going on here without exposing anyone? And with older kids, doing this a couple times will build that trust that this is legit anonymous. For younger kids, it's really powerful to say, oh, wow, I may not be the only one who's feeling good about family and food. And on the left here, you see a calendar. So we can go back through time. The tech piece here is important because this enables all of this information to get shared over time. We can together as a group see how this has been changing. So let's go to the next view, and you're going to see that each one of these mood impact factors, we can see as a group how we've been feeling differently about each one of these over time. And over time, our class will develop a habit and more comfort with being able to talk about and surface things that might have happened outside of school that could be impacting us here. Altogether, this may take at most 5 minutes, and we encourage it to be done once or twice a week. It doesn't have to be done every day. Meanwhile, my administrators can get a beat on what's happening across my school. We can see across grade levels, really useful for grade level teams to when they're, whether it's weekly or biweekly, getting together and trading notes, how things are going, what we may want to adapt with our unit planning. This can inform that. We can see how mood scores may be changing across grades throughout the year. And all of this is aggregated and anonymous at the student level, so we don't know which student, but that's still really important for us to get a beat on how a class is doing, because instructional culture is about the whole room, not just about any one child, and any one child's experience is impacted by what happens in that whole room, as we shared earlier with the research. Okay, so the actual activities, any teacher knows these are back pocket activities we've all got. What's so wonderful is you don't have to think about which one to use when. You can look ahead, but you don't have to prep or plan for these. None of these are new props or new materials. And this is just an example of a brain break. They're always going to be fun. I do this with adults. I have heard about school partners all over the country that do this together in leadership team meetings and PDs with their boards. And of course, I hear many stories about grades and classrooms all over the place using a brain break and having these be incentives that kids look forward to doing throughout the week. Now, this is an example of a challenge. I mentioned that these are problem-solving activities. It's so important that they're low stakes. You know that by certain grades, there are pre-existing relationships before you get in the room. Sorry about that. Age in group projects, because there may be so-and-so has feelings about so-and-so. This facilitates and gets the attention away from each other for us to problem solve and have some fun together. And in the lower right-hand corner here, here's an example of the final screen you'll see. I hear from teachers that you can tell this was created by teachers because this is metacognition. This is not whiz-bang tech doing the thinking for you. In an age of AI, we have to know how to interact with each other, and we have to be able to reflect and think, what would we do differently in ways that don't feel like we're being put on the spot. Courses similarly. So a challenge is a one-time problem-solving activity. These are connected. So when you think about liking to watch a show rather than a movie because you get to continue that narrative arc, it's the same idea with the course. They may be about habits. This island one is so popular. It's one you've probably done a version of in your own professional development session where you land at an abandoned island, you have to allocate resources. Kids love it. It's engaging problem solving. When you think about during the week of testing and you need to fill that time with a movie, why not fill that time with a course? It may be just one or two throughout the year, but you know which one to do because this is what our class has been saying we want to work on. And so these are just some examples from around the country. You can see that it's often a do now as you walk in that room during that first 15 minutes or so. The challenge is something that can be built in at some time that makes sense for that class and that school schedule throughout the week. And there's a lot of self-direction and self-efficacy here. So it really helps teachers foster and build routine.
Wow. Before we jump into the Innovageous implementation, I want to just say that at Innovageous, anyone who is listening in and knows us knows that we start every single one of our professional development sessions, every single one of our leader meetings with folks checking in. And so the idea that we often look at that data in real time and maybe we'll have a side conversation about something we need to do or something we need to switch. It's amazing that teachers will get this data right to their device to be able to not only tell them what the trends are, but also be able to give them suggestions of quick activities, of longer activities, of the courses, of the challenges. And so I just love how that idea takes it a step further than just checking in, but also responding to that and making it visible. So awesome. Thank you so much for sharing all that. All right, Alicia, let's talk about Innovageous implementation.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty much exactly what I was thinking. I echo those thoughts, Shira, that you just said. But I think that in order to take it this partnership into a step further even is thinking about, okay, how does this integrate seamlessly into the school or the district or the classroom that this will be in. And so this tool is really impactful. And it's not just because we say it is, but because there's lots of research and data around checking in and how that works and how it builds psychological safety, belonging, and learning, right, in the classroom ultimately. And so this idea of the technology will create even more impact when that implementation is very well thought through, supported, intentional, and has ways that you can sustain that throughout your school, your district, your classroom. So something that Innovageous does and that we bring is that we work alongside schools and districts leaders to ensure that there's a clear vision. Like when we're going to have this technology, how are we going to make sure it's aligned to our vision and we have clear outcomes so that we can focus on making sure it's successful when we implement it. We also support leadership in their commitment and making sure that there's the systems to enable success. We provide ongoing support and training beyond the setup of the technology, but also in what does effective instruction look like around this? How do we make sure that we are supporting in what are evidence-based, developmentally appropriate routines throughout the classroom that go around this implementation of this technology, the time, the structures, the data, and the feedback that we can collect from a leadership perspective around how to make this even more impactful. And so we want to make sure that this solution is customized and fits your local context, which is a theme that you heard throughout Leah's presentation as well. And so where we work alongside each other, WOOF and Innovageous alongside the schools and districts, is that we want to make sure that we're guiding thoughtful rollout and implementation. We can co-design launch plans. We can clarify goals. We can make sure that, and this is really big around the country, especially in certain states like Pennsylvania, that multi-tiered systems of support is a huge priority in schools. And how do we make sure that when we're implementing WOOF, that we are aligning it with our multi-tiered systems for all kids? So we want to integrate into existing systems and structures, not competing with other priorities. This really is complementary and fits in. We also are it's really important to us to build educator and leader capacity, right? It's not about showing you how to use something once and done, or for us to step out and then to just leave it in the hands of teachers or leaders for that implementation. We want to make sure that we are building capacity of and sustaining that work beyond a partnership. And so lastly, we want to support and reflect on that continuous improvement. We want to use data. We want to make sure that we're getting feedback, that we're tweaking how we're implementing this so that we can both make sure that impact is maximized and we can celebrate the wins, the progress along the way.
So what's next? It starts right here. Because we know that strong outcomes require strong implementation. And planning for 2026, 27 is actually right now. And so when you think about starting, now is your time to identify possibly a pilot team, to test and refine some of these practices, and to allocate funding for WOOF and Innovageous implementation support so that we can make sure that there's successful school-wide rollout in 26 and 27. Our current school year is not over, and so now is a great time to get started with those pilots. We also know that beyond school budgets for 26, 27, states have specific funding opportunities that are out there. An example is here in Pennsylvania. In Pennsylvania right now, there are 2 opportunities available for public schools and for non-public schools, both focused on students' behavioral health needs, and WOOF and Innovageous as partners could be a really great match to supporting these funding needs and meeting the allocations. So here are some steps that you can take right now, and we're going to make sure to give you some QR codes, some bit.ly, so that you can contact us right away. First, you can explore our websites. You can explore the WOOF website. You can explore the Innovageous website to learn more about each of us. You can set up a time to connect because we can all meet together, and we're going to give you information on the next slide to make sure you have our contact information. We can engage in a demo. So you got to see a little bit, but we can actually get you in there and show you in real time what it means. And so we can do that in our meeting. We can work alongside you to determine implementation needs, whether that is professional development, some systems building, or even program planning. And you can access our one-pager as a reminder. In fact, we want to encourage you to access the one-pager as a reminder to take your next steps with us. And so the one-pager is just like this. You can print it out, you can save it, and you can make sure that you follow up with your next steps. And so contact us, learn more. We are here for continued conversations. We've included both our QR codes that go straight to both of our websites, so you can scan those right now, or you can drop us an email. We're happy to connect. We're happy to set up a meeting, and we hope that you see a benefit to bringing WOOF and Innovageous support to your school and your district.